We are on. Welcome all. Uh, I will be going through some of the base subjects of alchemy, of how to make potions, the a chemical weight, potion value calculation, and such. That I've already gone over in my text guides, but I know that visual learning is also good for people to get their heads around some of these things. So let's go over this then. We've, um, firstly, um, some tips. You'll have your alchemy table, and you can. I should get some purified water actually. Let's. I should, but yeah, alchemical weight. Um, an ingredient will either have a chemical weight or not. This is basically a term that has been coined and is in common parlance now in the alchemical circles in game for an ingredient which is accounted towards the liquid weight of the potion you make. Um, Actually, I haven't got any money, have I? So let's sell some. But mostly meats, carcasses, any plant matter, and the like are normally what you uh, use, which will have a chemical weight. Things like bone, scales, horn, um, and such are won't and minerals, metals. Those are items without a chemical weight. Right, that should be plenty for this. Um, and in game, uh, one post unit equates to one first. A character normally has 10 first. You can get up to 20 if you're an Ogmere with the beer belly clade, which will increase your first by 10. And there's also the potion utilization skill, which for every 10 points in skill you get another first. So you can have, if you're an Og Mirror, get up to 30 first. For other characters, you can get up to 20 with potion utilization, which is how much you can drink, basically. Um, so vials will hold, a medium vial will hold up to 40 potion units, um, whilst a minor vial will hold up to 15 potion units. So normally uh, you want to aim for 10 or 20 or 40 or whatever in the potions you make. You can make up to 10 potions at a time by putting in multiple number of vials, but you're if I put 100, I'm only going to make up to 10. Um, but it will fill the potions in order up to 10, so you can't make um, t- with a medium vial which holds up to 40 each. You can't make 10 times 20 sort of half filled ones. It'll try to fill the potions, and anything left over will sort of split into the last few vials of those 10. So normally you want to make 400 for 10 times 40 PUs, or 150 for the minor vials, which would fill 10 minor vials. Uh, a chemical weight, the easiest way to test that, you can throw in uh, either 11 of the ingredient. So if I try to make 11 with horn, we just am I actually got on live? I'm actually talking about on live, aren't I? Share screen. My apologies. screen. Here we go. That's easier. Um, so we have. If I try to make a potion with 11 horn, it'll just spit the vial and the horn back out at me. So you can tell from that that horn is either not acceptable as an ingredient at all, or doesn't have a chemical weight. You can do a similar with just one ingredient you wanted. If I was to put in 10 water and one horn, likewise that won't create a ingredient because you need a minimum of 11 to make a potion. Each potion unit is effectively 10 a chemical weight plus one extra chemical weight. So to make one potion unit or PU, you need 11. Two potion units, you need 21. Three potion units, 31. 10 potion units, 101, and so on. So to fill a medium vial, you'd want 100. You want 401 in our chemical weight to create a 40 PU potion. Now, if I was to create, if I wanted to test basic tests, start off with, I discovered that, as I said, 11 horn is nothing. Just gives you the ingredients back. But if I throw in 11 purified water, an equal amount of water, that purified water, the 11, is effectively the needed a chemical weight to give you a potion. So that's going to give me 1 PU, which is what we need for just for testing purposes. So that should give me a potion back. So there we go. I've got 1 out of 40 potion units, 1 PU, with no values in that potion at all. So that's telling me that horn I threw in is a valid ingredient. It's got no visible base values, so either it has 0 in its base values or are negative in its base values. And since we don't have any base values, any multipliers it may have for any base values, other ingredients would add to a potion, are also not visible to us. So we need to use a test ingredient. Now, as you see, I just drank that potion. But a good way to reuse a potion rather than drinking it each time is to, once you've made a potion on the alchemy table, interact again with the table, and then you can use a vial automatically refilled. So you don't have to drink vials between each test. So you'll just overwrite whatever you already got in there. So you basically just use the vial and replace whatever's in the potion with whatever you're making for the second potion. So testbed ingredients. I like to use these 3 ingredients. There's common vices use, which has if you make a potion with that, it will give you base values in all the healing stats, which is like direct healing, heal over time, and healing length. Troll meat is a very good one for poison because it gives you direct poison over time, and poison length for as base values. Aloe vera gel is another one I like to use because it has a higher heal over time value. Because when you're working with very low base values, it might be harder to work out what a multiplier is because you're working with such low values. It's hard to differentiate between some multipliers. There's also things but these you don't have to use these. I prefer to use these because it normally means you need to make fewer potions to get all the values you want out of an ingredient. But you can use things like Wolf Brush for just testing the direct heal, um, which is probably where you want to start off as an alchemist is the direct heal potions. The heal over time gets a little bit more complicated, and poison values, or although we can test them now, and most chemists been playing game for a while, will have tested poison values, so they'll be ready for hopefully when we can start using them to apply to weapons and arrows and things. Um, yeah, will be those chemists will be ready to throw them at PvP players. It's alchemy like a lot of things in the game are like Star Vault are still adding stuff to the game. Like recently we had the age and weight change potions added. Right, so that's alchemical weight and potion units that you need. Now, here's the alchemy table. If you want to make a copy, you can look at you've got the tiny URL there. You can put in, take you to the Google Sheets page, and then you can just make file and make a copy, and you'll be able to modify your copy as well. I'll go through this table. You've got the potion calculator itself, which will automatically you put in how many units you want to brew. It'll work out for you what the alchemical weight you need for that recipe will be. So if I wanted to make 10 potion units here, and I wasn't Alvarin, this is what I would need. So I just need 101 alchemical weight. So in this case, the Basilius and Seedew have a chemical weight, or the Blood Ore being like a metal ingredient, as I said earlier. Those kind of ingredients don't have a chemical weight. So the two quantity, as far as the quantities are concerned, you need a total 101 and a chemical weight to make the 10 PU. But the quantities of anything without a chemical weight still count towards how the game uses its ingredients. So the Seedew leaves, we have 99 out of the 103 ingredients, ignoring the alchemical weight, to work out its percentage in the potion. And Basilius obviously is 2 out of the 103, and the Blood Ore is also a 2 out of 103, as I've shown in the text guide. So the game basically looks at the percentage value and then multiplies whatever the ingredients base values are by the percentage value. So normally, if I was to remove these two ingredients in the potion, just put them zeros here, you'll see to making a purely CD leaves potion will give me a 2.4 direct healing. So the base of CDU leaves has revealed because every alchemist is going to be getting their botany and herbology to 100. CDU leaves has a base of 2.4. But if you dilute that with any other ingredient, thereby reducing the percentage of CDU leaves, you'll reduce the 2.4 by the percentage. So now CDU leaves, if I put 2 and 3 in, it's just over 95% of 2.4, reducing it, which is 2.5. I've increased these in the spreadsheet. As you can see, I'm reducing the volume of the CD leaves in the potion, which reduces this direct heal. The idea of the game for the multipliers is these work on a power curve. So the more you put in, the higher the multiplier you'll get. But due to it being a power curve, the more you put in, the less it will go up. The multiplier will go up each time. As you can see, if I go up, that multiplier is increasing. It's increasing a little bit less each time for each one extra I put in. So it's having less of an effect. And also, as you're putting more in, you're diluting it further and further. So eventually, you'll get to a point where, it's not worth putting any in because you're not actually getting anything out of it. So that, it's 125%, but you've diluted the CD leaves 2.4 by so much, you're actually getting a lot less than what the CD leaves on its own would give you. So you'll basically want to put in just enough to make it worthwhile. Like 3 to 4 there, you see, you're only getting a 0.001 change in the potion. So 2 to 3 is okay. 4, 5, 4 to 5, you're actually making it worse. So at most you want to put in 4, say, there. So when you're considering making your potions, you want to check that. As well, if you're using expensive ingredients, you want to consider, is it worth putting in an ingredient, one extra ingredient, if it gives you like a 0.002 increase when that ingredient costs like 10 gold per unit. It's obviously at that point it's not worth the expense and use that extra in that ingredient. If I was to use gold, for example, which is as a good bonus, that obviously 2, 3, 4 is pretty good, but when you're like only getting a little bit extra out of it, is the quantity worth using that high when it's going to make the potion you're making so expensive? It's not going to be worth producing. So that's another thing you'll need to consider when making potions is quantity, the ingredient costs. Now, the spreadsheet has a page where you can input values for ingredients. I divided those into useful ingredients and ingredient list, so you can insert rows to add in new ingredients you might want to test. So let's say you want to add something in, you just add an extra row and you can input the values as you test them. If you find a useful ingredient for a potion, you can add it to useful ingredients as well. So the drop down won't be crowded with like 400 ingredients. Where in game there's like lots of things that can go in a potion, but only a small number of those in comparison are actually worthwhile putting in a potion. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Purified water, which is very good for testing purposes, is a 0 across the board for the standard values. It does have some extra use when you're making certain weight loss potions. Not weight loss.
Age.
No, the height
age
change
potions.
potions. Using salvia oil and gammon oil. Purified water actually is a good thing to use. You can use purified water and water in height
That's for
potions.
food.
Yeah, food. Sorry.
Food,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Go. But yeah, purified water is a 0 across the board, so that's good for dilution tests for comparison. But you can chuck in rabbit carcass, and it's the same as purified water. So obviously you can add that as a tested ingredient to your ingredient list, but it's not really going to be a useful ingredient. You're not going to be going out catching rabbit to brew into your potions because it has exactly the same effect as the purified water. Uh, it's useless to have something you can select in this, but for the testing calc, which uses all ingredients, it might be something in there. Next, let's look at actual testing purposes. Now, each ingredient will have base values and multiplier values. Even if these are 0 or negative, they are still effectively something the ingredient possesses. So you have usually, if I was to test, let's throw in this file again. Let's like say let's use common vitus start with because that's healing. If I was to use that common vitus juice as a base ingredient, 1.2 direct healing. Um, so we know those are the bases 1.2, 0.036 on its healing over time value, and healing length of 5.760. Now the healing length for common vitus juice does include a multiplier because its healing length value is actually 28.8, which has a very high negative healing length modifier. So that's included in the sheets here for the potion result comparisons. Now this page is how I normally now test ingredients. So I put something in. Normally I would test against this. So I tested against 11 common vitus, and then if I was to test, say, green gimbura, I would first test with one of those. So test bed ingredient, the common vitus juice, which we know the values of, all of which is in the sheets, and green gimbura, which is the item we don't yet know. So we can first of all test against that 11 green gimbura. So this is a purely green gimbura potion, and we can see from that it has the only base value it has. It's got some alcohol, which we can ignore for now because that's no effect in game as yet. But it has a poison length of 15.552 on its own. So we know that the green gimbura has a positive poison length base. But as this is purely made from that one ingredient, we don't know whether that base is just a base and a 0 multiplier, which doesn't modify the base value, or if it includes a modifier or not, multiplier. So we need to test that, and that's why we use a test bed ingredient. So here I'll throw in another potion. Actually, I can throw in the original one with 11 of the test bed and then 1 of the green gimbura. So now we know the common vitus juice from before is going to give us a direct healing value, a healing over time value, and a healing event value because it has all 3 bases. So this potion now we can see has a 1.24 on its direct healing. So now we can put this up here. If I put 1.24 in on the sheet, and this is giving you the potential bases if it had a multiplier of that value. So whether it has, but we didn't see a positive on the base. We only for direct healing. We only saw positive on the healing length. Also to see it's got a poison length appeared. So let's now make another test with the same 11 common vitus juice and 2 green gimbura. This is to give us another comparison case. So so we're diluting the common vitus juice a little bit more, but increasing the quantity of the green gimbura. I call them apples, but they're not. They're apples. They're pears or something like that. No, the pears are pyram, but now we see the direct healing has gone to 1.91. So we can put that in here. 191? 191. So now it's showing us what the base values it thinks the direct hill could be at that multiplier strength. So we're like saying if the Gunjibur had a multiply value of direct hill multiplier of 0.75, this is what the Gunjibura's base values for direct hitting would be. Obviously, these you got to look for something that matches. I've actually got a highlight here which shown you at a multiply value of 0.44, they come together pretty closely. Okay, so that's basically hopefully telling us that a 0.44 multiplier on Green Jabura is the answer from the comparison. And in that case, it has a nearly zero base value. So if I can put that down here on the little tester on the bottom to see if it goes back to our potion values. So this is calculating with the gains formula what common Vitus juice plus the 102 of X, which is X being the green Jambura, would result in game. So 1.24 and 1.91, which matches up to our actual in-game results. So that's hopefully you can see from that it's solved for us that green Jabura has a 0.44 multiplier and no base. So then we can just jump to our ingredients list and we can put in green Jabura, which is already actually inputted here, as a 0 base and a 0.44 multiplier. And then you can go through the other values. So then we can look back to direct healing and go, okay, it's got a 0.03 on its heal over time and a 0.026 on its heal over time for those two. So 0.03, 0.026 there against its heal over time value. And here it's highlighted quite a few possible results. And we can look at these. That's come pretty close. So that's basically, let's look at minus 0.3 down the bottom. 0.327, no. Is it just a 0? No, it must be negative. Minus 0.19. Minus 0.36. That's come up to the base, that matches. So it looks like minus 0.36 matches in the potion. Now we're working with very small starting values. Heal over time is a 0.036. So you might want to make further tests. Just to see if 11 and 3 would match. We could do another one of those. Lemon commodity juice, free apple. Which give us a 0.024. And that strength, that matches as well. So that looks like it's solved for us here. Minus 0.36 on its healing over time. So now we know that green Jabura has a negative multiplier towards heal over time. And then again, we can go back to the game and game and look at the healing length, 5.537, 5.527. Not much change from 1 to 2. 5.537, 5.527, and then move that. And now we're looking at healing length. Again, that's pretty much jumped out at us here with the highlighting. Again, you're looking for potion results, bases that are very similar. The discrepancy from what it's showing here and what you put in down the bottom is simply because we're working backwards from the games using the game's formula to derive these numbers. So because that game only gives us 3 decimal places, you'll get discrepancies in the numbers here shows. Won't normally be by much. Um, the bigger the base is, obviously the more the discrepancy is likely to be. But when you start working with smaller numbers, it will drop. This is normally enough to highlight the range of numbers that are likely to be under. But here you're seeing that it doesn't look like Green Jabura has any base again, as we previously tested. 11 Green Jambura. Did it have a healing length? I don't think it did. No healing length, just a poison length. So there's no positive base on for it. So it must purely be a multiplier or a negative base. Negative bases aren't really matching. They're too far apart as potentials. So we can basically solve this again as Green Jabur has a minus 0.36 multiplier on its healing length. No base, or a zero base, base value, I should say. So you can input those values. And now we can move. Let's look across to the poison length value. As we saw, it had something there. We can also make that an option. We're going to be testing against troll meat. If we put in 0 as a test bed, so 0 troll meat and the 11 Minyabura for like fully 100%, 15.552. So we can put that in. And it should give us some numbers. This doesn't like it. That's because I got the link for still at the top, am I? Okay. This is showing us again potential values 15.552. We can look down these, and these are some of the known values I've seen of healing length and poisoning length. So if we hopefully we'd expect to see one of these numbers in a 100% potion. 10.8 appears. 7.2 no. So it looks like 10.8 is the likely one at 0.44. From just that one test, without actually testing against troll meat. But we can actually make a couple of tests of troll meat as well. So 12.172. 12.172. Again, those two potions, 10.802, 10.8. They're pretty much saying, there we go, we solved that. So we can put in a 0.44, and that should give us the results. Those two potions, 12.172. Potion 3 there, 15.552. So that's helped us solve Green Jambura's healing length and poison length modifier in one shot. As you see, as we're going along, we're filling out all the values, bases, direct heal, direct poison, heal over time, healing length, poison over time, poison length. Those are the bases each ingredient will have, and the multipliers for each base. As long as your potion has a positive base, then the multipliers will increase that base in the potion. Obviously, if you don't have anything giving a base in the potion, if I was to make something with no direct heal, but I was to throw in direct Green Jambura, then Green Jambura is not going to be increasing direct healing because there's no base to actually affect with its multiplier. So you'll need something like CDU or Wolf Brush or Common Vitus Juice, Common Vitus, anything which has a base, which adds the potion before the multipliers will actually appear as such in the potion stats. Let's look at another ingredient because we've looked at several with Green Jambura now. Let's look at negative values. Go back to using Common Vitus Juice. Now, this is an oddity one because it is a common ingredient, quite easy to get hold of. White covolo or white cabbage. It's a plant, so it's likely to have a come on quite and give us a potion. There we go. It's given us a potion. Only base value what covolo appears to have is something in poison length. It might have base values that are negative. Anything 0 and below won't appear in a potion. So you should consider 100% potions of an ingredient as just like helping you see what base values or positive base values that ingredient has. So you might go 10.8 poison length. That's when we go back to our list, we can go, oh, 10.8. That's quite a commonly seen length for like a base length on healing lengths and poison lengths. That's probably what white covolo has, and you might just be tempted to chuck it into white covolo, poison length 10.8, and think you're solved. However, ingredients can be tricky because if we were to go in and go 11 troll meat and a cabbage, we've got what, a 12.016 there. So we can put that in on our comparison table. This one. 10. So we had no test bed, 10.8. Fine. We're now checking against troll meat. Give us some numbers. Thank you. So 10.8 appears there. Okay. But now we've also tested against troll meat, and we've got a 12.016 result. Now, if it was no modifier 10.8, then the second potion should be 10.8 as well. And here it's like, no, it's not equal. So it can't be a 0 multiplier in cabbage. So, fortunately, the spreadsheet again with the highlight here is shown up on this line as a plus 0.5 multiplier at 7.2, which is like a minor length, one of the lowest you see, but there we see those values match up, which is pretty much saying, okay, don't take things for granted. 10.8 wasn't the answer from your purely cabbage potion. 7.2, but 7.2 does work at a 0.5 multiplier with those potion results in the game, matching the calculated formula we have in the spreadsheet. So White Covolo, instead of being 10.8 and 0, is 7.2 and 0.5. And we can also see it's got a poison over time 0.5 to 0.49, 0.5, 0.055 to 0.049. Poison over time 0.055, 0.049. Did I get that right? 0.0. Did I get those around the right way? That's the 0.72, 0.06. I got those around the wrong way. Oh, okay. No, that's come up better that way around. I'm not sure that's correct. 0.36. Better double check that. This is another thing of potion making. If you're not sure you've done something right, do it again. One white cabbage, lemon troll meat. To 0.016 is the 0.491. So I was right, originally right that way around. And that should be 11 and 2. 11 and 2 cabbage. 0.044. Four nine four four. Point -51. So that's showing us, looks like with troll meat that white covolo has a -0.51 or -0.44 is also close. Let's have a look at that. 4449, no. 4147, no. 4449, that matches. So White Covolo appears to have a -0.36 on its poison over time, and 0 base from the numbers here. So we can just drop that into our test here. And this is basically how you work through ingredients and test them and add them to your spreadsheet ingredient list. As you find uses, you can then take them from ingredient lists and stick them in, add them again, copy them over to your useful ingredients page for your main potion calculator to pull from in this list. So now we found some negative values, multipliers that you might not otherwise see, because you need a positive value, um, like which troll meat provides, troll meat providing the poison over time base value. Um, if there was a zero multiplier in white Covelo, you'd expect to see 0.051 and 0.055 in your 1 and 2 potions, but we got actually less than that, suggesting to us that either white Covelo has a negative base or it had a negative multiplier. But the actual bait, just a negative multiplier, worked out the closest here. Uh, so that's basically how you make some tests with the spreadsheets uh, results comparison page. Any questions so far? People following along okay? If I
Better
put,
unmute yourself if you need to talk, guys.
yeah, feel free to, yeah, so far, understanding what I've been talking about so far. Any questions? I know the spreadsheets and like the massive numbers and things aren't always appealing to the eye, and alchemy is one of the more complicated crafting professions, and in regard to the number of things you can use in a potion.
The most important part of it is just trying to find out the percentages of the actual effects that items give.
Yeah,
Because after you've done that, you can make your own way of making different types of spreadsheets.
yeah. This one's provided to
Yeah.
you. You got the link down here, so you can make your own copies. But this is my favourite method of testing. There are other people who use like there's a power curve solvers you can get, where you can put numbers and the game will and the spreadsheet will try and work out the best numbers to fit the results you put in. Um, but this is my favourite use. I've done well with this so far myself, and I think others will find this the easiest as well. Right, let's look at another ingredient then, just to cover things a bit more. We can reuse these potions because I've interacted with the table twice, so I'm just going to overwrite this. Let's look at muse fruit, because this is going to be an ingredient that's commonly used in healing potion, direct healing potions, as it's a vegetable or a fruit, whatever. You're going to expect it to have alchemical weight, so 11 will make a potion. Here you see it's given us back some numbers. It has a direct healing, alcohol, and poison length as bases. So direct healing of 0.432, which you can put in 11 11 of X. No test bed needed here. 4.432, I believe it was. So not a huge direct healing. Um, again, we're testing against direct heal, so we want to use. We're using common vitus juice. Let's use another ingredient. Let's use something that might be a bit more available to people in other areas. Is wolf brush. Let's have a quick test of wolf brush. Get the values of that first. Wolf brush. It's come back with a direct heal of a 0.6, um, which looks good, as a healing base. Let's just make sure that's got no multi. Let's make sure that's uh, just as it is. So let's test lemon vita juice and one wolf brush. Can't common vitis juice. The common vitis grows outside a cave camp, which is probably isn't the safest place to gather. But there's also a few rows of it down by Tindrum in an orchard southeast of Tindrum, where there's lots of malice fruit, some several crops you can find down there. Malice fruit.
Stay away from Tindrum. It's all mine. I am here. I am here since
Okay,
3 days.
okay,
All my grapes.
all your grapes. Okay. But buy your grapes from Loxley. I'm sure he'll give you a good price. Yeah, Comovitis is a very good for a testing ingredient because it covers all the healing bases. But this is giving us a direct healing of 1.150, so we can put that in as a 1.150. 11 test bed, 1x, x again being the wolf brush. And we can look down and see here numbers have appeared straight against the 0 multiplier. So we can say base looks like it's a 0.6, 1.150 matches. So we can go ahead and go to our ingredient list and add wolf brush in. How do you spell wolf brush? Is it one word? Yes. Has a chemical weight 0.60. So there we have a simple, widely available ingredient usable as a test bed. So we can use some of this instead now for testing. 11 wolf brush against the muse fruit we were tested before, which gave us a 0.432. Am I testing that right one? That's 0.6. Cool. Actually, it works. Nice, doesn't it? Add here. Brush 0.60. So 11 muse fruit was a 0.432. 1 muse fruit and 11 wolf brush. 0.648. And it's instantly highlighted there, handily, against the 0.44 line as a 0.3. So this is solved for us, the muse fruit, with a healing of a 0.3 base and a positive multiplier of 0.44, which corresponds to the numbers of our potions in game. So the ingredient list will already be here because its numbers have been shown in forums and other areas available to search online. So all the numbers of ingredients that have been revealed here and other places already in the spreadsheet, and you can see from our tests matches results already in the spreadsheet. But let's test it against something else. Let's test muse fruit against troll meat. Its poison values, just because we can. So 1 muse fruit against 11 troll meat. So now we're looking at the poison values here. It's poison over time and poison length and direct poison. So direct poison 2.254. Direct poison troll meat. 2.254, 11 and 1. Wouldn't be testing it, it's 11 and 2. So at the moment, obviously we've only got the one potion, so we don't know these have been potential bases for Mewsfruit's poison. Unlikely to be, a lot of these numbers look a bit off. Minus 2.4 is an interesting number. It's nice and round, but let's test against something else. 11 troll meat with 2 Mewsfruit, because that gives us something to differentiate our comparison numbers with. With 2 Mewsfruit, it's 1.948. So 2 Mewsfruit as X, 1.948. Oh, it has. So this is now appeared here. So it looks like Mewsfruit has a negative direct poison base of minus 2.4 and again 0.44 multiplier. Game results matching the purely calculated formula, solving us Mewsfruit's direct poison values. It's both its base and its multiplier. So we'll go to our ingredient list, and we can put in Mewsfruit as direct poison, minus 2.4, minus 2.4, not 0.4, and a positive multiplier. So we know that Mewsfruit now will reduce the base of anything you add in, but it will still multiply any direct poison base that goes over 0. So with the troll meat, having, when using, if we go to testing calculator, and here you'll see how it's working. Troll meat 11, and now the Mewsfruit, because our numbers are entered, and 1. We've got 90, just over 90, 91, or just under 92% of the troll meat's direct poison of 2.4 from our ingredient list, which reduces 2.4 to 2.2, and the Mewsfruit, because it's only like 8 and a third of the potion, it's minus 2.4 has been reduced to a minus 0.2. So the total base has been reduced to 2, but again Mewsfruit does have a positive multiplier, so that's increased the direct poison again from the 2 to 2.254. So that's how ingredients can work on both the base and the multiplier at the same time to reduce things. Obviously, if it had, I'll just overwrite the formula there. If it didn't have any, if it had a base of 0 on its direct poison and just the multiplier, you'd get a higher poison value. But it has a base, so it's both reduced and increased at the same time from the base it gives. So each ingredient, its effects depend on its quantity in the potion. Your primary ingredient, as I call it, being what you're throwing in as your what you're trying to make. CG leaves, one of the best ingredients you can use to make direct healing potions. Is good. You can use seed as well. Again, seed leaves have the higher direct base value, so seed leaves are best to use with ingredients when you're trying to make higher values. If you're just aiming for something like a 4 in direct healing, I'd recommend don't use the seed don't use seed leaves, just use seed simply because seed is cheaper. You'll use less. It's less expensive because 100 CDU you will turn into 40 CDU leaves. So commonly on the market, seed leaves is more expensive ingredient wise to the CDU, to the base CDU. So if you're using more expensive ingredients to get a higher number, then use seed leaves, because the higher level your additional ingredients are going to make more of an impact on a higher number. But if you're aiming for something, if you're not aiming for over 4 and direct healing, just use CDA. If you're aiming for something for like 5, 6 DH direct heal potions, then you want to use CG leaves. And you'll be using the higher end ingredients, of which there are many. Calx fish, anything like 0.44 and up are the higher grade ingredients. Scadite is a 0.96, but scadite is normally quite expensive because it takes quite a bit of processing to make from ores. Calx fish, great horn, jadeite. Those are easier, more accessible ingredients to use in potions. When you're making less potions like direct healing 4, you probably want to use the cheaper, weaker ingredients like horn or reed mace shoots or the white cabbage. Allium, yeah, it's weak, but it's very hard to find it in any real quantities. So yeah, that's probably not even a useful ingredient actually, because it's not something you're going to gather in quantities. Green Jambura and Green Jambura juice, they act as separate ingredients in a potion. So if you put in Green Jambura, you can also put in the Green Jambura juice, and they're separate multipliers in the potion. Similar with Pyram juice and Pyram, separate ingredients, and each ingredient, basically, as you add them in, the game will multiply the total, whatever the bases of the ingredients. It will add all your bases together, and then it will multiply by each of these numbers. So 2.248 is actually being times by 100%, 108.63, 107, and so on. So the game's probably not looking at those, probably just looking at those first 3. But as you add more in, let's add a bit of gold, a couple of that, and it multiplies the 2.1 by 6 by each of those in turn, or total of those being 127.63, which isn't just adding the 8, 7, 9% together, but multiplying those numbers all together. And then that multiplies the total, the bases, whatever bases are of the ingredients total in the potion. Any questions now?
Yeah, short question. You say that we can get a potion with 4 direct healing only with Seed.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Never thought it.
Yeah. So obviously there's 16 ingredients. You'll probably need to use all 16 ingredients in the alchemy table to get to the direct healing of 4 with Seed. But it'll be cheaper using the Seed than using Seed leaves to get to just a 4. Use the Seed leaves if you want to make something over direct healing 4. It'll work out less expensive for you as an alchemist. This game's formula is a little complicated. But once we're getting used to how it works, like it'll make more sense, and you'll be able to make more choices on your choice of your choice of ingredients will be affected by the cost of them. If you're adding something in without a chemical weight, then you will be increasing the cost of your potion, because adding things in without a chemical weight doesn't affect the primary ingredient. If I was adding in another basilius there, that actually reduces a little. So you might actually not mind reducing a little if you go over direct healing 4 and you want to make a nice exactly direct healing 4 potion. You can actually add in a little bit more, which will reduce the total back down again towards your target number, but it might actually reduce the cost of your potion because you're actually losing less seed leaves or seed. It's all sort of like swings and roundabouts rather really for ingredients to cost. So I'm using basilius, which is pretty easy to gather in high quantities if you go out looking for it. Um, it's cheaper than seed leaves. Same with like common reed mace shoots and the like. But if you're adding in more expensive ingredients like guano, um, if you want to, if you know people go out hunting terror birds and the like, then you can always ask them to keep their eye out and pick it up for you. But because guano is a very effective direct heal multiplier in potions, but it's very hard to spot on the ground. Um, and also you don't really want to tell your customers you're adding bird shit to a potion. um, but yeah, so guano will be expensive, and you'll as it's more expensive than seed leaves, you actually will be increasing the cost of the potion by using it as well.
We killed all the terror birds in one spot in the jungle, and we are looking with 4 people for guano.
Guano, yes.
We found nothing.
You found nothing. Yeah, that's not surprising. It's like they're little tiny green lumps on the ground that are around terror bird spawn areas.
Yeah, so the terror birds don't drop them. It's something that you find on the floor.
Yeah.
Like a pickable.
Yeah. So some might actually collected it before you. That's well-known areas are often cleaned, especially like salvia and the like. You might go up and only see like 2 or 3 plants in the spawn area, which means someone's been there before you and collected most of it, and it's only just started to respawn. You know, the game's based around limited resources as well, in a way. Can you get to it before someone else gets to it, sort of thing? Or can you protect it and farm it yourself, or whatever? Which adds the player element as well for this. But with Alchemy, hopefully it won't be so badly contested. CDU, Meduli wise, there's quite a few times of the day where you can go out safely. I'm in EU time myself, so when I go out gathering, it's normally if I go out in the mornings, then it's almost always all there, and I can come back with like thousands of CDU. But sometimes there I can go out and go, oh, someone's obviously been this way already. There's hardly any spots for me to go picking it up left, and then I like just no point coming down further down this beach because it's probably not there anyway. Head back to town. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
2 questions. The first being, does it matter the order in which the ingredients are put into the ingredient section there?
No, it doesn't matter. You can put them in any order.
Any order, okay.
Obviously, if you make up a recipe, it's probably easy to put them in the order you've listed in your recipe, so you can double check your numbers. They don't actually have an in-game way to save your recipes yet, which hopefully they'll get around to at some point, so we can just like click a recipe and it'll pull the ingredients from your inventory. But currently, you have to like manually
move them over
the quantities you want, split and move. You can make up to 10 vials worth at a time, which is basically called batch potion making. So you can put in any number of vials up to, and anything over 10 or less is will be automatic return, but I could make Basically a 400 PU recipe here, which would be 4001 AU. So obviously you have to increase your quantities of ingredients accordingly. As an Alvarin, there's a clay gift here. You can check if you take that. There's a little note here for equals 11, because you can't actually make a 10 PU potion as an Alvarin. You always get at least 11. If you try to make one that's 9, we'll get 9 because it rounds down. So you can't actually make a 10 potion as you already get, you get 9 one end or 11 when the clay gift minimum kicks in. But if you're making, say, if you want to make a 40 with the Alvarin clay gift, you only need to make a total of 37 because you get extra 10%. So you get an extra 3.7, which will be rounded down, 37 plus 3.7 to 40.7, rounded back down to 40. So you'll save some alchemical, you'll save some ingredients as an Alvarin and be able to make some extra potion, making it a little bit cheaper as that race. Making it one of the most competitive races as an alchemist, but you don't need to worry too much about that if you're not an Alvarin. Reroll. No.
So the other part of my question was the applicable skills for the ingredients. Is it required that you have those in order to make best use of those ingredients?
Yes, the botany skills are pretty easy to get because you're looking to use as the game's got a limited number of primary skill points. You're going to be looking at your skills, profession skills, some material law. You've got your botany as one primary, which covers a lot of skills you want to get. Secondaries. Herbology is a must because that covers the CDU, and some other ingredients. Copology, for example, includes the juices, Ampirin, green jambura, red jambura, all the fruit, and common vitis juice. I think it's like botanical oils you'll need if you want to process your salvia oil, your gammon oil, brown chalk-kelp oil for weight loss potions. But as they're all secondary and you need botany for herbology, they're cheap to get.
That also include like the zoology skills and like the blood ore lore.
Yes, some of these
Oh
are
my gosh.
useful. Obviously, I don't have all of them. Igneous rock is as you sort of like be chopping trees and mining, probably for some other guild members, and getting those as gathering skills and getting dendrology, which dendrology covers wolf brush, for example, as well as another one, and the likes. They're useful to have. But when it comes down to it, the law-wise, things like blood ore and gold, although getting 100 in those will increase the bases, then because remember, if an ingredient only has multipliers, you don't need the law at all. Multipliers are not reflected by your law and a skill, by the law, it's your skill values. Only base values are affected by your skill values. So if you have any herbology, your seed release would be halved basically. Getting to 100 will double most base values. Not all ingredients work on the same sort of linear line. What was become known as law factor. That's another subject, probably not easy to cover in one session here. but you'll be able to test that again. There's some lore factor things here to help you determine at your current skill level. So if you don't have 100 in a skill and you're testing an ingredient, you won't be working at the full efficiency of that ingredient if it has a base values. So you might want to lock a skill at a certain level or let it raise and test it at multiple levels so you can try and work out what its lore factor is based on the potion results you get. It's a little bit more complicated. That's why we generally recommend people to get to 100 in all the very useful skills first, because then the values you're testing won't change in future with between tests. Just because your skill level has gone up again, you'll get different results. So getting your botany and herbology, carpology to primarily to 100 is a very good idea. Just because a lot of the ingredients with bases use those skills. Ampiology is actually common vitus, and I think it uses carpology for common vitus use. Other ones to get animal materials. I think flesh lore, the easy one to get. Primate meat lore, which is used on troll meat, for example. You can level that up skill very easily just by going to a graveyard and cooking zombie carcass. That will level that skill up. So you can use troll meat efficiently for testing poison values once you get that to 100. And that's all secondary, so from fresh lore and materials. Well, you've got one primary animal materials, but that covers so much and under those, which probably been useful for just sort of basic cooking as well. So yeah, as an alchemist, you're not going to have the primary skill points to get all your ingredients you can use to 100% efficiency, because there's all the different things they can fall under. And in some cases, you may not want to get an ingredient to 100% efficiency because, for example, if you're making a direct healing potion, the Spider Queen carcasses, the Night Queen and the Clophis Queen, they're very good direct heal multipliers, but they do have a positive. They do have some positive poison values. So once you tested those and seen they have positive healing values, in getting I think it's Arachne skill, animal materials. It's going to be under zoology. One of those, isn't it? Arachnida skill will actually end up increasing your poison values, which means having the skill at a higher level will increase the direct poison of your potion, meaning knowing the skill will give you a worse result on your potion because you're adding more poison to it by knowing how to use spider carcass properly, which I think is a bit backwards in the game. It's like knowing the lore should let you reduce the amount of poison you're adding in the game, but that's the way Starvelt have done it, so that's how we got to go with it.
I have a question on the skills as well.
Yeah.
We need to get up I think it's herbologium expertise, or not expertise, extraction. Where you would break down cedar leaves and other stuff.
Generally, I recommend those skills. You have the crafting appliances, the botany appliances, primary, press, and herbologium. Extraction, you got the herbalism and milling. those all help you increase the yield when you're processing various plants like seed or salvia to salvia carpels and then to salvia oil. These increase the yield. You can get someone else who has a skill to do it for you, but it's then a question of do you know someone? Are they online to help you with it, and so on. They might take. Maybe you can find someone to do it for you for just a cut of the materials and still get more than what you can do yourself. But generally, I recommend those skills because it simplifies
If you
things.
want to be a self-reliant alchemist,
Yeah.
you need it.
Yeah.
If not, you're gonna have to know another alchemist with those skills because no one's gonna just learn it for no reason. So
Basically.
Okay. Thank you.
that's how it is.
Yeah, I would love to drop some of those skills just to get some of the other ingredient laws up to make more efficient potions, but I like being self-reliant and being able to just
And
process
also
the stuff
learning
myself.
the herbology is also good if you want to earn money with alchemy. The main money source at the moment is weight loss and the age gain and age loss potions.
Yeah,
So they're big money makers for alchemy. Like
they generally can be sold quite easily. And I get more requests for age and weight change potions than I do get for healing at the moment.
yeah,
I had one more question.
your
Actually.
biggest.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was looking on the market trying to sell some potions, and I saw that the potions I would make would just be green vials called potion. But I saw people were also selling vials of red liquid that actually were called healing potions. What's the difference between those? Can you only find healing
Yeah, you
potion?
can only picked up by bandit.
If
Okay.
yeah, it's like the minor healing potion and the like. There's something you can find on bandits.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Everyone happy what has been covered so far?
Yeah, it's been great.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else anyone would like to know about regarding testing? Or have I covered everything that's helpful to people currently?
I think I have all the materials and maybe now the knowledge to test all my stuff, and maybe I can do potions in the next days.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. Yeah. Get your skills up first before you delve deeply into testing. Simply because it'll make things easier for you. And yeah, okay. Have fun with your alchemy, guys. I hope this has all been helpful.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you for setting it up.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your stuff and also for your Excel sheet. For your time. And for your time, yes.
You're welcome.
We
All
need
right.
more alchemists. We're a dying breed, all right?
It's not the simplest profession, and I know that some people look at some of the like the original one of the original posts on the forum with the alchemy demystified. They got like a little graphic of the formula for alchemy, and I think that people look at that and go, ah, that's maths, and puts them off. But once you get to know it, it's not so bad. And this spreadsheet basically has all the math built into it for you. So you just need to put in the quantities and the results, and hopefully, yeah. I'd say look into the formula, just so you know how it works and you have some more understanding. Because in future they might add different multipliers, or the formula might be changed slightly for maybe they add some new bases and multipliers to the game that don't follow quite the same formula. So
They might do what they accidentally did with growth feed and make one of the items with multipliers turn into a completely different effect.
yeah, yeah, like they added the growth.
Growth potions.
Yeah, growth. They added growth and shrink potions on the last alchemy patch, and kind of broke the healing potions because like if you use a salvia oil as your primary ingredient in a healing potion, it might actually grow you at the same time. So mess up people's builds in game. So that's why they got taken out quite sharply when people were going, no, these don't work. They just leave them as food. It's fine. Um, but yeah, Sarvo haven't got the greatest track record regarding their tests. Maybe I should stop recording up now.